What's up, you lazy, entitled, basement-dwelling millennials, bootstrapping boomers, apathetic Xers, and goddamn Gen Z kids today? You know, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm gonna have to update that at some point when, like, Gen Alpha ggets old enough to be relevant.
If we're still doing this by the time Gen Alpha is relevant, I will, like, give you $1,000. I don't know, like that.
You heard it here first, folks.
I'll buy you a case of beer.
Oh my, it's a huge backpedal.
It's a good case of beer.
$1,000 case of beer.
Maybe not.
Yeah, so the Republican national catastrophe. That's
that's nice. So the last episode we put out was about, Trump getting shot and political violence in general. Jordan's trying to walk during the podcast. I don't know what he's doing here.
Computer just told me battery saver mode came on.
He panicked.
Trip.
Anyways, yeah.
We
So
drank our way through one episode, man.
well, I guess you got this
methanol,
mentholment.
McGillicuddy's menthol mint.
That's it.
I'm a little sick. If you can't hear it in my voice, okay, and this helps clear the sinuses out, so you can sort of hear what I'm saying.
So it's kind of cutting through a little bit, huh? The McGillicuddy's is cutting.
Woo.
Anyway, so rhetoric, just kind of discussion based around RNC post Trump getting shot, just kind of all that, along with the announcement of Vice President potential JD Vance, which we're going to discuss his amazing life story, best-selling book, Hillbilly Elegy, author, and
which is apparently a lot of bullshit too.
Oh man, it's perfect. It's perfect. I love everything about it. It's gonna shine a lot of light on and just his choice for vice president. I think shows a lot of what
I don't think it was his choice for vice president.
Trump's.
Yeah, I do not.
That's interesting because I heard that a couple big donors, like the Koch brothers, didn't want him based off of his mildly pro-union stance.
Mildly. He's got a 0% rating.
No, he does. He does. He once said that he was pro the UAW strike.
Yeah, and he said he believed in some forms of collective bargaining.
Yes. So, like I said, mildly, very mildly in support. Apparently, that's enough to shake a few boots in the Republican stronghold. So,
but then Elon Musk is like, if you pick him as the VP, he'd donate $45 million a month to the Trump campaign.
Well, he's also a tech bro, so it works out in that sense.
But he's also been critical of tech monopolies.
I don't know, man. The Republican Party is full of contradictions. So anyway, getting started here. So Trump was shot.
Yes.
Everybody knows about that. His first thing that he, put out there was a call for unity, which was echoed across the land. We need unity. We need a moment of healing and unity. The next thing he said was basically that he is still being politically persecuted by the liberal Justice Department, and they should stop doing that unless he can do it later against the Biden crime family. Then it's okay. But for him, it should stop. We should only persecute our opponents, which he doesn't realize he's the opponent of Biden. So it's, interesting. And he basically continued the January 6th hoax and, spreading the election lies and blaming the Democrats for the shooting, basically, due to their messaging.
Blaming the Democrats for a Republican shooting him.
A Republican non-political shooter, apparently. So, yeah. And then, on top of that, you got people like the Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, like I said, calling for a moment of healing and unity. And I don't think he was calling for a moment. I think he was just letting everybody know that that moment was all we were gonna get of unity. Just one moment of unity. And then we're going back to business as usual. We're going back to the blame game as it always was. You know, not too much introspection there. Basically, the next day, he described Democrats and their policies as a clear and present danger to America. So, to give him credit, I guess, he did tell the press that he was supposed to have a different speech on the teleprompter, but he didn't want to stop the speech, so he just kept going.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, sure. If that's the excuse you want to go with, then, whatever. But basically, yeah. So then you got also crazy fucking MTG going up there. And I don't know if you saw her at all, but I swear to
She looked like if she drank water, it would have like dribbled out of her mouth a little bit.
Yeah, I describe it as like basically have just received like the perfect shot, a concoction of Prozac or Xanax moments before walking on stage, because I don't think I've ever seen her smile that much and not scream at anybody for as long as she was up there. Like, it was so fucking weird. It was like she didn't say anything interesting at all, but in between saying things, she would sit up there and smile and then make a sound. She did it like 5 times. Like, it was bizarre, and she's normally bizarre. This was a different side of her bizarreness.
It was very, I think it was mixing the right amount of like Chardonnay. She seems like a Chardonnay type, doesn't she? Yeah,
but only come from a box.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Franzia Chardonnay.
No shade on Franzia, but that's definitely what she was dipping into.
That mixed with like Ambien and just like the white woman cocktail, like
right. Yeah. So basically, the calls for unity, unsurprisingly, didn't last very long. You basically had like a day or two of that being the national narrative, and now it's back to business as usual, which is why there's not that much from the RNC about
They haven't
unity.
talked about it. I mean, yeah, they basically ignore, except for like all of Trump and his supporters wearing maxi pads on their faces. There's no.
Yeah, I got one right here. I'm ready to show my support for Trump. I won't tape it to my ear like they did. Like, they taped it all around their ear. Some of them. It's kind of funny. But no, none of the speeches were about unity. They talked about unity to interviewers, just kind of around the RNC, but basically as soon as they got up there to actually say their shit, it was all the fucking unhinged, dumbass fuckery that you would expect from the DNC. Honestly, I think the DNC might be just as bad, if not worse, than CPAC.
Really?
Yeah, like CPAC is crazy, but they do it with a straight face so well at the RNC that like they think that this is like gonna save the world, and at CPAC they just like have some person who's saying like the Great Replacement Theory is real, like that, That's the difference, I think, for me.
I don't know. I haven't seen the batshit stuff at the DNC.
At RNC or.
Oh,
CPAC.
you're saying that the RNC? I thought you said DNC.
No, I think this RNC is more bizarre than CPAC.
I would give you that. I'd give you that, especially with some of the lineup that's come out. Like,
yeah. Well, this is kind of a weird fucking RNC just in general. Like, we were like, who the fuck is Amber Rose?
Right.
But
and again, who the fuck is Amber Rose? Because like, I had never heard this name before in my life till I was reading your contributions to the outline here, which, to be fair, is most of the outline here. I added like 3 sentences to today's outline, and you're like, Amber Rose was there, which shows that they're there for a vibe. Was kind of your description of it, and I'm like, who the fuck? So I'm googling Amber Rose.
Yeah, like So in her speech, she's like, I used to think that Trump was a racist. And like, then my dad, which I was surprised that he was a Trumper, said, no, Amber, he's not. And she's like, yeah, huh? And he's like, prove it. And apparently that's all it took for her to become a Trumper.
So the person who has a tattoo across her forehead
and got famous and was on a TV show about like extreme femininity, and basically I think it was like Walking the Strip or something is what it was called. Like it was like a very not super mainstream show. It was a little bit explicit. Some Trumpers have called her a porn star, literally. So, and she was like, yeah. Then I realized Trump doesn't care if you're black, white, or anything else.
He hates you all.
He loves you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, he loves your vote, and his policies fucking hate you. That's why he's a racist. You idiot. It's not that hard. But then again, this is the RNC we're talking about, and this is going to be the theme of the whole fucking RNC in this episode, is just miscalculated solutions. Like everything they bring up, I will give them props, and I'm going to bring this up again with JD Vance. These guys, they actually do bring up a fair number of actual problems this time around. Like they talk about actual issues, not just that, fentanyl and immigrants are ruining everything about our country, but they do.
Damn Jose's, we need to keep them on their side of the border with a bare wall.
But they do actually talk about or bring up some like actually valid issues, which is very surprising for the Republicans. But just every single time when you're like, okay, yeah, that's a decent point, they just, oh, it's the immigrants' fault. Oh, it's the fentanyl. Oh, it's the globalist neoliberals. And
yeah,
it makes me want to tear my hair out. But also like scream. And
I do appreciate how out of the box it feels like they're going on this one.
Yeah, it feels very weird.
I'm not really sure what their play is here. If they're tuning into the fact that their policies are fucking horrible and everybody knows that they're horrible and like nobody wants them anymore.
No, I think they just finally figured out that like if you're gonna do something like Project 2025, you should probably talk about like a reason that isn't immigration as the problem for all of our issue.
I'm still trying to figure out why they thought inviting Sean O'Brien was a good idea.
Was he invited or did he just like ask to be there? I don't really know. It doesn't really matter, but like
I heard Trump asked him to be there specifically.
That's weird.
And I don't know if that's true.
Either way, he's there, which is, if you don't know, Sean O'Brien's the president of the Teamsters, which is a pretty fucking big union.
Yeah, and he's also like a very vocal president of the Teamsters. Like he's had some. Didn't he almost get in a fight with like Congress or something? Like I felt like he was doing an interview with some fucking congressman, and they were.
That could be. I don't.
He was trying. He was like the congressman. They were. He was trying to. Sean O'Brien wasn't trying to get in a fight with the congressman, but the congressman was like, let's take this outside sort of thing on the Congress floor. I swear to God, this is a thing that happened.
Well, if Oklahoma senator challenges Teamster president,
that's the one.
Yeah, I guess so. He got in a fight with Senator Mullen challenges Teamster president to a fight. He challenges him to a fight,
and Sean O'Brien's like, I mean, I'm not here to do that, but
but let's catch me outside.
Which I would not fight Sean O'Brien. That guy is a scary looking motherfucker.
I saw on the Daily Show, Jon Stewart compared it to like some like who's the best friend of in Californication. It's not that guy, but it's another basically white pasty bald actor.
Okay,
like he looks pretty close to pretty funny guy. But basically. He was there somehow. I think the first time ever he said any president, at least of the Teamsters union, were there. And, at first they were happy. It was like,
we're gonna get the Teamsters endorsement.
We're gonna get the Teamsters endorsement, and then he's like, yeah, we need to help workers organize. We need to help, stop regulation that's, prohibiting workers and prosecuting, employers for breaking labor laws. And they're just like, oh gosh, shit. Oh no. Like this.
The claps were like, oh, wait, no, I'm not supposed to clap for right. When he says the elite doesn't care about the poor people, and I'm because he's calling it out to a group of their faces. Like,
but the general populace that's there are not like all like corporatist people,
right?
And just like large business owners. Most of them are just like random people that made it through the elector process,
right?
But it was just so hilarious.
I mean, like the Koch brothers are there.
No, that's true.
That sort of thing. Like, and that's a sign. I loved the close up of Trump's face as he's talking, and just this, and that's why, because that's the video I saw said that Trump invited him, then it was comparing like Trump's face from when he got on stage to like halfway through the speech, and like this may have been a mistake.
Well, it was like he's as a union president, like is that if I'd want somebody to show up and speak to Republicans, in that way, I thought he did it in a way that was actually legitimately very, very pro worker.
Oh, absolutely!
And like absolutely would have helped everybody who isn't a fucking capitalist ass fuck who's there, and their families and their friends' families.
Well, he said it all in a way that it's like you can't come back at him for it.
Like, no, it was all very like, these are problems, and this is what the government's currently doing. Let's fix it, and let's help people get back to work, essentially. And they're all like,
yeah, but that's not what we wanted. We can't clap anymore.
Also, can you repeat the whole thing again? Because I lost track after the first sentence when you said something slightly educated, and not just Trump is our Lord.
It was beautiful. It was it's weird because I find out about everything after the fact. Always, unless somebody texts me about it immediately, like when Trump got.
I mean, there's no way I'm actually gonna watch the RNC,
right?
Like,
exactly.
I'm gonna watch the next day's review.
So I'm like in my comments, and people were just commenting constantly about, tell us about the Teamster president. Tell us like why did the Teamsters sell out? I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, I don't want to deal with this today.
They didn't sell out.
They did not sell out
at all.
And then somebody actually tagged me in a video that was like him doing it. I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Right?
I love this.
Honestly, so on the way up here, I was listening to Democracy Now!, and one of the people on there said that this could be an approach to just try to get overall more of a foothold across the board between all parties.
I think he's going to speak at the DNC as well.
I think so too, yeah. But like they're saying that as corporations and PACs give to both sides sometimes, the unions are going to try to get in on both sides so they just have more overall support in general, and then can somehow, if that works, turn that into actual political movement in the direction. So if that's the case, then I guess more power to them. I don't know how that's going to work.
I mean, if it doesn't work, at least he said what we all want to say to their faces, their faces. So,
right. Yeah, exactly. He didn't sell out at all, and he spoke factual things.
That is some BDE going up there, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
the most anti-union room in the country at the moment. And he's just like fucking president of the biggest union in the country and being...
So that was some really interesting things about day one and day two. I don't know if we talked about it yet, but basically, yeah. So back to the unity thing. So like everybody was calling for unity leading up to the RNC, and kind of outside of the actual speeches. Joe Biden calls for unity and actually calls Trump personally to like congratulate him on dodging a bullet, I guess, and say he's sorry. And it's on every platform from Fox to MSNBC. And then on one of the interviews with MSNBC with Lester Holt, he asked Biden about his his rhetoric and how it might have led to the assassination attempt. And like I was saying in the last episode, like he does show up on that day and time. And it's like, how do you not say that someone is a threat to democracy if they do and say the shit that Donald Trump has? Like, how are you gonna avoid saying, those type of things? You have to talk about your political opponent. And Lester's just like, it doesn't sound like you're turning down that heat though. And it was great. So and then halfway through, Biden calls out Lester in like what I think is like a pretty good move, baller move for Biden. So like, I forget what question Lester gave him Biden about. It was like stepping down or like, how do you feel about your debate or whatever. Or he was like, yeah, you look like you weren't even like conscious sometimes. And then so Biden like leans forward at the edge of his chair and he looks Lester in the eye. He's like, Trump told 28 lies. Why don't you talk about this? Where are you on this? Lester doesn't respond. And he's just like, I know you're not going to respond, but why? Why are we not talking about Trump at all?
It's a rhetoric question.
Right.
It's a rhetoric question. They want to bring up rhetoric when it's convenient and ignore rhetoric when it's
exactly
all of the rhetoric. Like,
and it's fucking MSNBC. Like, can you, like, if you're gonna do the thing or you're on the mainstream putting a point of view out there, why don't you give a guy a break? Not that I fucking give a shit about what anybody says to Joe Biden, but just like logically, like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get Trump elected, or are you like what the fuck?
And this is where I always just like, I don't know if I want to laugh or kick somebody in the nuts every time they're like, oh, everybody's just always so hard on Donald Trump and they don't give him the benefit of the doubt and like all this kind of shit. And it's like, once again, this is a perfect example of the liberal media gives Donald Trump more fucking airtime than anybody, right?
Yeah.
And then when something like this happens, they are grilling the extreme liberal Joe Biden president, you know, about his rhetoric that is just like, hey, I said he's a threat to democracy because he's like, you know, a threat to democracy.
Right.
That's a thing.
Yeah,
that's
6 election denial is a thing. And he said on the debate stage, I'll only accept a fair election, according to him, apparently.
Right.
So, like, what do you fucking mean?
The last election was fair. You've been unable to prove otherwise.
Yeah, for 4 fucking years, you have provided nothing that has any factual basis. You haven't had a single court case that went anywhere whatsoever. So what the fuck are you talking about? Not a threat to democracy.
Right. But it's always like, anytime you talk to people on the right, they're just like, everybody hates Donald Trump and he just gets such a bad rap all the time for, it's just, he just looks bad because that's the way the media portrays him. Like, the media portrays him
by showing him speak his own fucking words.
And if anything, they're giving him a pass on shit they should never give him a pass on all the goddamn time.
Yes.
Like, all the time.
Yeah, I swear sometimes CNN feels like Fox News, like, you know, that's like a lower, it's like a lower tier baseball party, you know, like, or baseball team that's like a farm for Fox News. Like, that's what it feels like sometimes.
It is. Oh,
obviously it's not like a farm for Fox News.
Right.
Like,
I was going to say, do they normally go one way or the other? I feel like they normally go from Fox to CNN, don't they?
Yeah, no. But
who watches cable news anymore?
Yeah, exactly. The only clips. Then, you know, he said, Joe Biden goes on to say Trump is still a threat to democracy.
Nothing
Kamala
changed.
makes a speech the next day, you know, apologetic for the fucking thing, but yeah, still a fucking threat.
Yep.
And the RNC did nothing to dissuade that in any of their speeches this week. So last week, whenever you guys are listening to this, like,
surprise, we don't film this in real time.
I know that would be something. That would be something. So yeah, that's the rhetoric. But big news otherwise is JD Vance, and I think we're gonna have some fun times talking about JD. Fun in the way that like we might go crazy, but fun nonetheless. You better, you know.
Pour another drink.
Yeah, put a few more fingers of that in there. But so basically, who is JD Vance? First of all, he is a one-term senator.
Not even a one-term senator.
Half of a term.
Not even a half a term. He's been in Senate term 6 years. He's been there for a year.
That was a year and a half.
It's been a year. I mean, it was the 2022 election. He got sworn in 2023. We're in 2024.
Yeah, but we're only like 2 months away from.
Okay, sure, fine. Fuck, a year and a half. Whatever. He's not been in the Senate very long.
Gotcha. so I'm sure he must be a moderate, unity-focused type candidate who is gonna just bring that message that that Donald Trump is truthfully, a man for whole America, right?
Yeah. That was later, but first.
Well, apparently that just didn't come across the way I wanted it to.
No. I got you. He was first of all a never Trumper.
Yeah, and
that's why I said at first.
At first, never. He literally called himself a never Trumper.
He said he was America's Adolf.
Right, he could be America's Adolf.
That was his perspective of him.
Right. And I think he changed his mind once Trump endorsed him for his Senate race in 2022.
Probably.
It was convenient for him to change his fucking mind.
And that's kind of been his whole thing, because he claims to be some fucking hillbilly from Ohio,
West Ohio.
Apparently, I was informed because I don't usually go discredit people's backstories, so I did a video on JD Vance.
Yep,
right?
saw that. Pretty good video.
Thank you.
Check it out if anybody haven't seen it yet.
Oh. So, like, their childhood stories, I'm not going to go and tell you didn't live your truth or whatever the fuck you want to say, right? Like, so I did not go into, unless it's very obviously discreditable. Like,
I mean, he makes a lot of claims now that is a little contradictory to his actual life, like what he's fucking done. So,
apparently he pretends to be from the Appalachians,
which, I mean, he absolutely is,
but he's not, apparently. Middleton is not and like that is something that I probably should have like just geographically fact checked, but I didn't know I needed to check a map. Middleton, Ohio is what it says he's from. Is where he graduated high school.
Yeah,
from.
No, it is. He says he feels like he's more of a Kentuckian than a Middleton, Ohioan, even though that's where he spent most of his childhood.
God, I feel like I'm more of a Canadian because I'm sick of not having free healthcare. Is that how this shit works? Like, do we just get to do that?
I don't think it's not Appalachia in the sense that like people think of like Deliverance, Appalachia. Like Middleton looks like it's basically like a Lakeville,
Cincinnati or some shit.
It's right outside of Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's a fucking suburb.
Yeah, it's a suburb.
Yeah, he's not like he wrote a book called Hillbilly Elegy, trying to pretend like he's growing up in fucking.
I mean, to be fair, he's like an hour from where those like Appalachian type towns, an hour or two potentially like are. So like he probably had contact with people like that.
It's kind of like you living in my back 40, right? Like you're like an hour from me. Do we live in the same general area?
Yeah.
Would you say you grew up in Pine City, man?
Yeah, so I mean, his biggest claim is that his mother, was struggling with addiction as he was growing up, and so I guess that allows him to say that he grew up in Appalachia and like.
Because people in the cities never struggle from addiction, unless you're talking about Chicago or Detroit or any of those liberal cities. Then they
got tons of addiction and gun problems. Yeah. But so that's kind of where I think he draws that connection, and he sort of cosplays the Appalachia a little bit. So he goes from there to the Marine Corps,
and he's a correspondent, a combat correspondent. He was a reporter, basically.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't even know what that job was, and I was in the Army. Like, I'm just like, what?
Did you never watch Full Metal Jacket? Are we doing this again?
I love Full Metal Jacket. That one I have absolutely seen.
They're combat correspondents. Joker and Rafterman are combat correspondents. That's their job.
It's been a long time.
I'm not even in the military. I know this shit.
All right, you got me on that one. But you don't. Like, when's the last time you saw a combat correspondent actually do anything in real
No,
life?
they don't do anything.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not a real job. Like, you're just writing shit down. We fought a battle. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying, man. Like, I get that.
Man, we're gonna get, if any combat correspondents fucking listen to this.
I'm sure you served
or the Marines. The Marines they're gonna come back. I can't say shit. I thank you for your service, all you combat correspondents.
But also, if any Marines getting a little butthurt, just grab a crayon book and a couple extra crayons. I got lots of friends that are the Marines, good people. So I'm just joking.
A little bit.
A little bit. It's the truth. I always ask people that are in the Marines that are like kind of like at a social setting. I'm like, so what was your favorite color of crayon? They usually actually have a response. They usually laugh and they're like, yeah, fucking the blues. So it's
Is it the flavor or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the blues taste way different than the purples. So
so we do this. We have a live going when we record this, and somebody just said, "My Marine brother says lemon lime tastes the best."
See, they had the expensive pack that had like 22 colors or more. That's not in the
You didn't even get regular yellow.
Yeah,
you got lemon lime.
Yeah, lemon lime. That's some Gucci shit right there.
Oh my god.
Shit.
It's got out of control. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Vance. JD Vance was a Marine combat correspondent. So he drew pictures probably with his crayons to write down what was going on in some battles or something.
Right. He might have had the twist ones though. Like
it is the U.S. military. They could splurge for him.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and then he came back, and then he went to, I do not think that we should revere Yale as a good school anymore.
I agree. What the fuck is going on? I mean, we really probably should have never, considering
Probably not.
Like, they're started out as a like obviously racist elitist institution, and I don't even know when they like allowed black students into some of their schools.
I couldn't tell you.
Probably not as early as you'd want them to.
Probably not. But I mean,
like every bad president we've ever, and from Harvard or Yale is basically.
Well, DeSantis went to Yale.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas went to Yale.
Right. Yep.
And
so Yale's doing something
obviously
wrong.
Who we're talking about, JD Vance went to Yale.
Right.
Yale
at law school. Yale Law School.
Yeah.
You did Ohio State first, and then went to Yale Law
also,
School.
Ohio State doesn't have the greatest rep either. With
No, I mean it's Ohio, so
it is. But jockstrap Jordan coming out of there. And
yeah, Jim Jordan, man. That's Penn State, right? I thought that was Penn State.
No, I thought Jordan was Ohio State. I could be wrong.
You probably are not wrong.
Yeah, it's been a while since I did my profile on him.
I feel like there might have been just a Penn State scandal like around the same time.
Oh, there was definitely the Penn State scandal.
That's probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Ohio State University.
Jim
Jordan.
Yeah, so some really fantastic careers starting at a couple universities there. So then from Yale Law School, did a short stint in law, and then went to go work in Silicon Valley for some.
Wait! Before he did that, he worked for Sidley Austin.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Which was a law firm for 3 years.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Worked in law for a short period of time.
Yeah. But they specifically lobbied for Purdue Pharma.
Yes.
Who, if you don't know, makes Oxycontin.
Which you might guess is what his mother was addicted to. I don't know.
You were in Ohio, I mean, that's probably what you were addicted to.
My God.
They had a problem there for a minute.
The cognitive dissonance to work for a company that represents a corporation that
Mhm.
firsthand, like, possibly ruined a very large portion of your life.
Mm-hmm. Gets worse though, but we'll get there. So yeah, and then he goes from Purdue Pharma's lobbyist law firm
Mm-hmm.
to venture capitalist firm out in Silicon Valley.
Yep.
Works there a year or two or something.
Right. Yep.
And then he's like, I'm gonna go back to Ohio and I'm gonna start a nonprofit to help with addiction in Ohio. That definitely has nothing to do with Purdue Pharma, the makers of OxyContin.
Right.
And then his nonprofit doesn't help anybody with addiction, but they did hire one person as an addiction specialist who had like ties to Purdue Pharma and cited all of their studies about the effects of OxyContin on the opioid epidemic. And they're like, yeah, it really wasn't that big of a deal. You know, kind of like when Marlboro was like, yeah, cigarettes don't really cause cancer. We did our own study. It's fine. And they did that. And
I saw a TED Talk of him 7 years ago. I assume as he's working for his own nonprofit, is how he got on there, and he sort of gave his life story, and he kept pointing to things that had gone wrong in his life, and then he would bring up like very briefly like an affirmative action is bad, and like the working class is being stripped of everything they've ever known, and they have addiction problems. And how the fuck am I standing here today? I shouldn't be here. And we're like, yeah, we know.
We agree.
But I was like, this guy points. So I describe it as he throws all of the baseball pitches like really well and fast.
Yeah.
But he just cannot get the solutions to his problems to actually make it into the mitt. Like he actually diagnoses some of the problems fairly well and brings light to some of the issues that he's grown up with pretty well, but none of the solutions that he brings up are even remotely correct. He's like, I know what's the problem.
Mexicans.
It's
literally because he's like, he goes on to say that like the fact that we don't have a border wall is the reason we have an opioid epidemic. It definitely has nothing to do with Purdue Pharma. Like
Right.
OxyContin is an miracle drug. Don't worry about that. It's definitely Jose. Jose is why your mom was addicted. Why my mom was addicted to OxyContin.
I fucking love it when he brings up his mom's addiction and then start talking about fentanyl and immigration. I'm like,
It's nothing to do. Not the same.
literally decades apart from either of those things being, major issues.
It's funny here. So, in the live stream that we do while we're recording this, somebody's like, "I'm interested to." It's actually a mutual of mine, but hey, Rhea, says, "I'm interested in what he spent his nonprofit money on if he wasn't helping the community." He really wanted to be senator, and he was spending it on doing community polling and connection building for his eventual senatorial race that he didn't actually have to do like disclosures for on his finances, and could build a base that he would be able to run a successful Senate campaign on, having he had no business running for Senate. Absolutely zero business.
I mean, he has as much business as like any fucking random person deciding to run for, like if either one of us decided to run for U.S.
Right.
Senate,
Uh-huh. But I mean, like, but we wouldn't win. I would hope
No,
not.
but
I mean, like, I would
I mean,
hope.
he
Like,
probably-
I know all of you say that you'd vote for me for whatever, and I appreciate that, and I love you all. But like, if I ran for Senate and you voted for me, I guess it wouldn't be as bad as some of the idiots in there, but it'd be pretty bad. Like, I have no business being in Senate.
Right.
I don't know how to write legislation and like how.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he's a lawyer who works for big tech and then started a nonprofit who enlisted, that, like you said, the doctor echoing big pharma, somehow anti-drug, pro big pharma doctors, the fucking leader of it. Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, it's weird. I agree. He definitely has like the
Well, but like, because like normally you don't start at Senate. You usually start at like state house, state Senate. Maybe you could start at state Senate.
right.
You start at city council. You start at mayor. You start
right.
somewhere down the line.
Yeah,
like
I
you normally
mean-
don't even start with like
Yeah.
congressmen, like U.S. congressmen. Like, and there's obviously a lot of first-time congressmen, but there's 435 seats. There's only 100 senators.
Right. Yeah. Senate's is
Senate's
maybe
the big
there just
leagues.
maybe there just wasn't any other Republican candidates that were coming up that time. I don't know. Like I don't pay attention to Ohio senator races.
I don't either.
You know.
But like, but then that's all he had to run for Senate. But that was his nonprofit. That's what he was using.
Okay, so I just found this Business Insider article about. Hold on, I gotta fucking just time change to whatever was fucking. Just go to the site. All right, you just get a headline. Tax filing show hillbilly elegy author JD Vance, Ohio's nonprofit, spent more on management services than it did on fighting opioid abuse. So
Yeah.
take that for whatever you want.
Yeah.
Didn't help any, or basically it didn't help at all.
Didn't help a single person.
Maybe-
I mean, well, it helped some people, but not nobody with well, they probably had addictions, but different types of addictions, not the ones that we were
Right.
talking about. Yeah, I can't believe that his book did as well as it did, and they turned it into a movie.
Yeah, I actually didn't see the movie, but
I didn't either.
I like the director was somebody that I really liked. I forget.
I was surprised because it's pretty mainstream. Like it was.
It is pretty mainstream. Why is this so? Ron Howard was the director.
Yeah.
So like a pretty high level. Fuck, I might have watched this one. I like Amy Adams, so I might have watched it.
Amy Adams is in it.
That's what it says. Yeah, Amy Adams.
I do like me some Amy Adams.
But it even says JD Vance looks back on his childhood in Middletown, Ohio.
And Middletown is not what I would consider hillbilly.
I mean, I don't.
Apparently, not what other people would
I've never
consider
been to
hillbilly who are from
Cincinnati.
Ohio. I've been to Ohio, but not.
I have not been to Ohio.
I've actually driven through Ohio a lot of times. I've stayed in Ohio a few times.
Drove through
Not
Indianapolis.
on purpose.
Drove through Indianapolis once. It's kind of close to Ohio.
Sort of close to Ohio. Yeah.
I was in Asheville this spring.
Asheville's badass. I love
Asheville's
Asheville.
super cool. It's really expensive to live there. We looked at houses there just
Oh
for
yeah,
fun.
no, it's super
Like
expensive.
$1 million houses or just regular
Mhm.
houses. Like it's basically Beverly Hills of the South.
Yeah. But yeah, so hillbilly elegy just seems like. Also, you can't put elegy in the name with hillbilly and be like, I'm definitely. It just doesn't work.
I mean, you can try, and obviously
It did. I mean, obviously it did
he-
work.
he
I don't know
did
what I'm
try.
talking about because I do not consider myself growing up like super white trash or anything, you know, by comparison. Like I had a more or less middle-ish upper class middle-ish class upbringing, maybe. It had some ups and downs. Like there was some high points and some low points. There was definitely some white trashy moments there, but yeah, and I wouldn't be writing a book like that.
redneck elegy. It's not your
No.
Florida man elegy.
Well, Florida Man was like the most middle classy part of it.
Right. But also typically lament for the dead. So did you just talk about the opioid
Yeah.
portion of that? Which is like the weirdest. You call it hillbilly elegy and then do nothing to help anybody. And
No, you do the opposite of nothing. You help the people
right,
who
you represent Purdue, and then you start a
be a venture
nonprofit that spends
capitalist.
more money on its management services than it does actually helping
Mhm.
anybody. Like, what the fuck? And then you blame the opioid or addiction problem in America today on fentanyl.
Yeah.
Because of your mom
and the Mexicans.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, it's because the border wall ain't built.
Meanwhile, literally everything points to 80 to 90% of all fentanyl being brought over by American citizens legally through, or I guess it's brought over illegally through legal ports of entry.
Yes. Through legal American citizens coming back.
I can't do this.
Yeah, I just...
How do you not just like... This is why I just enjoy anybody who ever makes a statement that has like an actual number that's based in statistical analysis in it.
Yeah, just like put numbers
that's,
out
That's
there.
in politics, I guess, in general, because most politicians don't actually bring out like the numbers and discuss like things are bad.
And we can't have Biden do it because he's like, it's 1 billion, trillion, 40, 100,000.
Yeah. But like, if you're going to make a claim like everything is worse, just say like, it's harder to buy a house because it's, 6 times your income versus 3 times your income, what it was, or 2. Like, give us some sort of, like
give
comparison.
us some number we can fact check.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not your feelings.
Right.
And that is where it gets rough. But that's the thing. And then the fact that JD Vance was the pick for VP is what, because again, going back to no qualifications whatsoever. Like,
right. How do you choose?
No resume. 0 resume.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well have chosen like Vivek Ramaswamy at that point. Like, same amount, basically the same amount, other than he had not been elected to any office. Why not?
I mean, spending 18 months in
and Vivek rode Trump's dick all throughout the campaign.
God. I mean, that's why he was running. That's why he was running.
Right.
He knew he wasn't going to win, but he was like,
make me a cabinet person or
VP or something.
Yeah.
100%.
No, I think if he actually, which I know he absolutely does not care about it at all, but if he actually wanted to get more moderates in and have more of a message of unity, he would have chosen Nikki Haley.
Yeah, no, that would have made a lot of sense. Nikki Haley would have made the most sense.
Yes.
But Nikki Haley probably never would have agreed to it.
You don't think so? I don't think he'd turn that down.
Maybe.
I know that they say what they say on the campaign trail.
It's a fair point. That is a fair point. I've yet to
down.
meet a Republican with integrity since, John McCain died. But
yes. Yeah, there you go. Mitt Romney's sort of up there. Not as good. John McCain was a man of real integrity.
Yeah. Mitt Romney's held his integrity better than most through the Republican Party shit show. But like
ego.
Yeah. He's out. Like, so yeah, I mean that's a fair point that Nikki Haley may have, given the opportunity, taken her shot and ran with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially since she's fully endorsing him to be president now at the RNC. She said it.
I didn't see that. So okay, if she's doing then she would absolutely have been a wiser choice in my opinion for them. But,
yeah. I mean, not that like Republicans actually care about like women's rights or like feminist objectives, but like having a woman vice president is probably the more strategic pick these days.
You would think.
But JD Vance being from Ohio, and he's his whole strategy is just stick around the Midwest. Like that's like a strategy. Like the entire strategy of the presidency right now is get the swing states.
Right.
If you do that, then you win. So like picking somebody from one of the swing states represents them right now. Wrote a book about them. Whatever.
Yeah, but
like
Ohio trying to claim to be the Midwest. Because fuck you, Ohio. You are not the Midwest. Like any real Midwest state does not claim Ohio.
I would say probably. I mean, Michigan is Ohio, and it touches Michigan. It
touches Kentucky too. What's your
yeah. I guess I would draw the line at Indiana. Probably.
Yeah, I would draw the line in Indiana, and even then, Indiana gets a little sketchy because they talk different down there.
What they talk?
Oh, they got a fucking accent down in Indiana. They start talking weird.
I mean, they would say the same thing about us, probably.
Yeah,
Not us, but Minnesotans.
Right, but I mean, I get what you're saying, but they're the ones who talk funny.
Yeah. All right, maybe just Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas.
I mean, I'd give Indiana a sort of a pass, but no, I don't count Ohio as the Midwest.
No, that's definitely. It's not quite northeast, but it's like east Rust Belt. I don't know.
You could maybe consider it kind of in the Rust Belt. I don't know. It's a weird.
mean,
Ohio's its own anomaly as
because
far
they
as
they're right next to Pittsburgh, and you would think of like Pittsburgh as like right in the like steel mill like valley.
right. Yeah, I'd
So,
consider it
like,
Rust Belt, I suppose.
Yeah.
because there's a bunch of factories there. Definitely industrial country.
We'll give you guys
And
Rust
also-
Belt, but not Midwest.
Also coal country, but yeah, definitely not Midwest. Yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of
because
the Appalachian Mountains in Ohio.
exactly,
So
and so yeah,
heck, Wheeling, right there, is like right across bordering,
yeah,
and Wheeling is the
West Virginia.
no,
Oh.
yes,
Yeah, 'cause Wheeling, West Virginia,
Yeah.
West Virginia borders. I wouldn't consider West Virginia. I wouldn't consider Kentucky Midwest. They're both border Ohio.
Dude, isn't it weird that Wheeling is like it's the capital of West Virginia, isn't it? Or is it just
I don't know. Does West Virginia even have a capital? I'm surprised West Virginia is a fucking state.
I don't know. But anyways, back
somebody
to,
here said they know somebody in Texas who thinks they live in the Midwest. Yeah, people in Kansas and Missouri think they live in the Midwest too. Really, Midwest is I would say Iowa, Minnesota, the Dakotas, Wisconsin, Michigan. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, that's the heart.
Yeah,
You could argue different parts of other states, but like definitely not like the full state. Like this is the vibe.
Yeah.
100% of the state. Those ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Gotten into geography wars here now.
Exactly. We're really off topic. JD Vance. So, first of all, Mega does not like that he has an Indian wife. Like they are like calling it like you're against replacement theory, but then you married a brown person.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? It's like, wow, that's a thing to say.
It is. It is. I find it less surprising than most people though.
Yeah.
Because Indians have some of the most regressive like marital culture of I mean, you gotta admit, if Meg could be like, oh, we could just do like arranged marriages and just like tell you gotta be married and this is your role as a woman, they would go for that, and that's
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in India that still want to use the caste system as their like social, fiber.
yeah,
Not everybody, obviously. But
right. No, definitely not. But like I do find it weird that I think she's a Democrat.
I mean, that could be.
I've heard. I don't know.
She's
Again,
a vegetarian, so she might as well be a
Oh
Democrat.
my God. She's a fucking communist. What are you talking about?
You're right. And I love it. When she introduced him, he was like, yeah, he's such a loving husband. He's tried to cook Indian food for my mom and get a good
Well, they
job.
had like a Hindi wedding and shit too.
And like, he's adopted her vegetarian diet. And I think everybody at the RNC is like, why the fuck is this brown person talking to me about being a vegetarian? That's the vibe I got.
Oh, it's just the vibe you should get.
And somebody complained, she didn't even mention Trump once in her introduction for her husband. It's like, what the fuck do you want?
I don't get the choice. Except I don't think it was Trump's choice. I think that this is the Heritage Foundation's choice for vice president.
Because he absolutely is the Heritage Foundation's like.
Oh my God, he's their poster child. He is everything they want. And you want a conspiracy here. I think Trump gets elected, the Heritage Foundation assassinates Trump or 25th Amendments him or something.
Right.
And puts JD Vance in.
Yeah, I mean that's a concern. I mean Trump is pretty damn old.
He's fucking ancient.
He could keel over in a year or whatever, So I definitely think this pick is not a good thing for America at all.
No, and
Like,
I don't think
like,
it was what Trump wanted.
When Joe Biden picked Kamala, you're like, yeah, that doesn't hurt or help America. But this definitely hurts America.
I thought Kamala was a bad VP pick in general.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was like I'm going to lose everything that I interpret our country to be if, Joe Biden keels over and Kamala becomes president. But JD Vance, on the other hand,
Yeah, he literally is the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation poster boy. And he has, like we said before, called Trump Hitler. And yeah, like you said, he's busting out some knee pads,
so
getting ready to,
So somebody in the live here said JD Vance can capture the young vote because of age, and I want to call some serious bullshit on that one. I apologize. No offense to the person saying that, but first off, the young vote went for Bernie Sanders hard. We don't vote the. I really don't think Pete Buttigieg carried a young vote, obviously, in the primaries for that. We haven't had a young president since Bill Clinton.
right, and JFK.
And JFK. But I mean, like, in, like, our lifetime, we
Right.
haven't had a young president since Bill Clinton. So,
Yeah.
like, we can't say, like, a young person versus an old person.
Yeah, I don't.
But
think-
even as a VP, like,
I don't think his face makes a difference. His
I don't
age,
think so.
I don't think.
I don't think so either.
I think it's more that he will bring the lighter touch, but with like darker undertones
yeah.
to Trump's like bird dog. I'm gonna call you names and be bull rushing everybody. Like I think he's gonna be the lighter version of Trump, but will definitely be like. Remember that game Breaking the Ice where you have to
Yeah.
tap that he's going to be tapping all the little icebergs that they want the Republican Party to be doing very concisely and kind of chill vibes, while Trump is like, this is the board, fuck the board, and everybody's going to love it.
Yeah, I don't know, because he doesn't have a personality. JD Vance is not overly charismatic.
I think for Republicans he does.
But the Republicans are already voting the way the Republicans are voting.
I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I think to them he does have charisma.
They also think Trump has charisma.
Well, Trump does have charisma. There's one thing you could say about Trump.
I don't know if it's charisma is the word I would use.
You got, if you can run a TV show as you're the main star for multiple seasons.
Fair point. I don't know. I
think it's the most sinister pick that we could have ended up.
Oh,
with.
I think absolutely. I think that the puppet masters, and this is gonna sound some like deep state type shit, but like I do feel like the puppet masters, the people behind the scenes that aren't even that far behind the scenes, because what did Elon Musk said? You pick JD Vance, and I'll donate
$45 million a month to a super PAC.
So it's not even like this is like some conspiracy deep state, and this is why every time the Republicans accuse us of shit like the deep state, like they have the deep state. It's right there. Like that is their deep state.
Well, we always say every time it's a projection because it literally is a projection.
Every goddamn time. Like how do you have that little self-awareness? Like,
which, by the way, fun fact on the Elon Musk giving away $45 million. If he gave away $45 million a day instead of a month, he could give the $45 million for 467 days, and that would be his money.
Wow.
467 days of $45 million expenses. And then he's, still owns, still running the companies. He just doesn't have any stock in the companies anymore.
It's insane.
The fucking world we live in. I swear to God, we are on probably... not the worst, like apocalyptic. Like, sure, there are worse timelines, but barring
we just haven't gotten there.
Barring
yet.
an apocalypse, we have to be on one of the worst timelines.
We're on the timeline that definitely has apocalypse in its future, without a whole lot of like, imagination.
No, you don't have to really stretch too far to like see like we're definitely missing our climate goals. We definitely have rising fascist groups all across the world, and
we've got unrest with nuclear powers around the world.
Yep. And then you have like for the really big conspiracy people out there, you've got the whole like we're not having kids anymore and the whole world's going to collapse because we don't have any more consumption based economies to build our whole,
Yep.
world viewpoint on, and the whole economy is going to crash and we're all going to die.
Yep. Somebody in the comments said we're definitely on the evil Abed timeline, and it resonates with me so much. So much. If you haven't watched Community, you need to watch Community.
Dude, when Addie and I found that after we watched it after it all completely came out, the first episode, we could not stop laughing. Our roommate had to come and be like, "What is wrong with you guys?"
Shut the fuck up, man.
Yeah, for like an hour and a half. We watched like 3 episodes back to back. It was just like straight laughing the entire fucking show.
The greatest show.
Second time through, less laughing. They were really good jokes the first time. Second time they were like, yeah,
I've watched it twice
this
through.
is still kind of funny, but
I've watched it twice through and loved it both times just as much, and was so unhappy both times when it ended. I'm like, I don't even care if there's only like 3 main characters here left anymore. Like, do not take this away from me. This is all I'm clinging on to anymore. No, I really do think that JD Vance is the Heritage Foundation pick, and that makes me cringe almost more than the Supreme Court implications if Trump gets elected.
Yeah, well, honestly, worse, because if for whatever reason Trump steps down because he's dead or is incompetent mentally, this is the guy that takes over and has presidential immunity to do the things for the next 50 fucking years of his life because he's only like 40 years old.
Yeah.
So he's like the worst case.
Yeah.
But you said something in your video that you put on something about like the monarchy and like you call it a neo-reactionary theory. I forget what the name was for it, but
Dark Enlightenment, neo-reactionary.
I've heard it the new right is what I've heard described as.
Yeah, they basically believe that quote, participatory democracy has failed us, and we need to go back to an absolute monarchy. And I very specifically remember monarchy was like the thing that we like did a new country over. Like that was
I think that was like maybe one of the bigger points of the whole thing.
And that wasn't even an absolute monarchy at that point.
No.
That was more democratic than what they
Right. There was a parliament.
Yeah.
At the time.
And they're like, no, we need to go back to some king shit. Like just straight up king shit.
And all the problems that he describes are like that, that the nuclear family is being ruined and our workplace.
Oh, yeah, he says, if you don't have kids, you shouldn't have a say in democracy because you haven't put a physical investment in the country's future. Like,
I'll give you a physical investment.
Oh, my. Some of the cringiest shit I've ever heard in my life from this man.
But like he describes like problems that working people have very well and clearly not in a way that a lot of Republicans have issues with. They're just like, the immigrants are ruining everything. I can't talk about anything in any reasonable way. But he like talks about it in a reasonable way.
And then comes up with the dumbest fucking answer for it. Like, he had that Twitter post where he was like, if you think that people saying that being a mother is bad, but a woman working 90 hours a week just to get by is liberation, then you've been had. And it's like, nobody's fucking saying that. Nobody's ever fucking said that.
Thank you for pointing out that some people have to work 2+ jobs in order to just survive. Thank you for pointing that out. Then what are you fucking talking about with the rest of the shit? Makes no fucking sense.
Like, nobody ever said being a mother is bad. There's lots of people who would love to be parents who are like, that's just not in the checkbook right now.
Right.
And like
that's the whole
But the whole point that he's getting at is that women don't deserve financial independence.
I mean, that's a take.
I mean, is there any other way to interpret that?
No, I agree. I think that's the end goal. And that's where like you have to like what I was saying about Amber Rose is like on the face of it, like what they say sometimes about besides immigration is mostly just kind of random bullshit that's like, vote for me, I'm awesome, we'll make America great again. But then you actually take one step and like look at any of their policy proposals and you're like, oh, now I understand when people call him racist. Not only because he makes racist comments about immigrants, but just like everything they want to do is going to take away rights or make it harder for brown and black people to exist in America, or just fucking poor people in general. Going back to class warfare.
Because class warfare is really the only warfare. There really is.
Yeah.
Truly, if you get down to it, there's no racism. There's no sexism. It's class warfare. It comes down to the very end. All of those are extensions of class warfare.
Yeah.
Because we're all on the same side.
Maybe they want brown people to be more poor than white people, but they still want all the people to be poor.
That's how you perpetuate class warfare.
Right.
Because
you divide people into these structures that fight against each other instead of looking at the people who's got their boots on their neck.
That's how they got the South to rise up and fight a war to keep slavery, because I might be a poor white, but at least I'm not a slave.
And maybe one day I'll own a slave too.
Exactly. and that's really what it was. It's all class warfare. And I mean, I don't know.
So I guess the biggest takeaway from Trump almost being assassinated is
we clearly need to bring back the civilian marksman
corps. No, I was gonna say there is no takeaway from Trump almost being assassinated.
None whatsoever. It changes fucking nothing. No one should care.
Trump walks into the RNC like he's the biggest WWE star ever, and then basically all they say is like, yep, fuck the Democrats, they're ruining this country, so are the immigrants, and we're going to make America great. The same shit they've been saying this whole time. And that's what I was saying about like Nikki Haley. Like, if you actually want to, be somewhat moderate in your presentation at least, or, just, for unity's sake, like choose somebody like Nikki Haley or fucking RFK, for God's sakes. Like, why not? Like, Trump could have chosen RFK. I think.
Well, they're not choosing RFK because RFK is very clearly their spoiler at this point. I mean, like, they're not even hiding that anymore, didn't they?
No, Steve Bannon was like, "Yep, you're my spoiler." Trump called him and was like, "We're gonna win this thing against Biden," and he's like, "Yep, we are."
Yep.
So, like, if you're voting for RFK, like, just know that
you're voting for Trump.
RFK,
and if that hurts your fucking feelings, go fuck yourself at this point. If you cannot see, RFK's biggest donor is Trump's biggest donor.
Yeah, they're the same people.
Literally, the exact same person has donated more to RFK's campaign than Trump's campaign, and he's both of their biggest donors.
And their policies align very closely.
Oh my God, very closely. And RFK's policies
one spends more time talking about corporatism than the other. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That is the difference.
No. And if RFK running on the Kennedy fucking coattails and his whole family doesn't want a goddamn thing to do with him, that should be telling to you as well.
Right.
Also, can we say a president almost got shot in the head and it wasn't, and there's a Kennedy running?
It wasn't a Kennedy?
What is going on, man?
Yeah.
The fabric of time is unfolding. This is
right. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. That's the episode. Fucking everything's gonna go on the same way. I mentioned the last episode, I don't think anybody's gonna care about the assassination in a month.
I don't think anybody's going to care about the assassination next week. I didn't care about the assassination as soon as I knew that the assassination was just Trump got a boo-boo on his ear.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially since the shooter is non-political, basically.
No, it was a non-politically motivated as far as we can tell. And if it was politically motivated, it was some John Lennon shit.
Right. Some Jodie Foster shit.
John Lennon was assassinated by a fan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually closer than the Reagan
right. Well,
thing.
that's what I was getting at. Like, if it was political, it was like
Though
somebody
he
who
was probably trying to show off for the people that were like bullying him as a kid, so it's kind of the same like the Jodie Foster. Like I'm showing off to, I hate to bring Jodie Foster up, like she didn't do anything wrong, but like
nothing but exist,
nothing but exist and be famous.
It's all right. Hey, you can buy art from John Hinckley.
Why would you ever want to buy art from John Hinckley?
Because he almost saved America.
Hey, I will say this one good thing about Reagan, and it is that he had the best Republican response to immigration policy that has ever existed on any Republican ever.
I wouldn't say any Republican ever.
Other than who? Like, what he was basically asking for an open work visa border.
Yeah.
Which is what I think would be a really
but I feel
good
like
step in the right direction.
Republicans
today.
before that probably would have been fine with that kind of shit too.
I mean, Bush was basically as well, I think.
Bush was after him, but yeah.
But they debated.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's right. I like heard him say like that we should allow
Well, and
people
he did.
to go.
He granted amnesty to current working, but he didn't put any permanent policy in place, which was the problem.
So that's the one thing.
No, I will give him credit.
And it's
Reagan,
refreshing to hear him say that versus hear all the bullshit and immigration rhetoric from today's Republican Party. That's all I wanted to say about Reagan. No,
I credit where it's due. That's fair. That's fair.
We can give him one thing.
I still wish Hinckley had picked, a 357 or a 44 or a 40, anything just slightly bigger.
What did he use? Like a 9mm revolver?
No, a 22.
A 22 LR?
22 Saturday, a fucking cheap ass 22, too.
Yeah, he didn't prepare very well.
No.
Just saying. Like
his marksmanship was not bad. I will give him.
He didn't hit him in the ear, so
no, that's true.
That's something.
And like I said, had he made the same round,
hell, even probably like a 9mm.
A 9mm would have been fine. Like literally anything slightly bigger.
Maybe BB gun, maybe that would have worked. I don't know. It was just the 22 that failed.
22 is basically a BB gun. It's just a BB gun you don't have to pump.
Right.
Oh man, this will be the shit that gets me canceled right here. Wishing Ronald Reagan's dead. We're past that, right? Like we can still wish that Ronald Reagan had died.
I think we could. He's already dead. Like
he is already
his family's.
dead.
I mean, not his whole family's dead, but like his wife and obviously.
And the living family fucking hated him too. So
I don't think his son ever talked to him after he got into the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel pretty safe. It's not like I go around all day talking about it, but.
Dude, I had people when I just said that like I was indifferent about Trump getting shot at. People are like, "Oh, I've lost respect for you now. I'm not following you anymore and shit." And like I had like private messages be like, "You're the kind of person I hate," stoking like divisiveness. And I'm like, I literally said I was indifferent. Like,
literally every liberal ever out there is like, "Oh, if you're not denouncing this, then you're the problem." It's like, actually, I'm just existing and. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It happened. I don't care.
Right. He's not dead. He basically nothing happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, nothing.
As we said in the last episode, don't go shooting Trump. Like, don't go shooting Trump.
Don't shoot people in general. I'm just gonna put that out there as like a general thing. I will not pay your legal fees.
No. Not like Trump asked everybody to pay for his legal fees. No.
And not like he offered to pay legal fees for the people that he wanted assaulted. He's like, just punch that person.
Right. Or the Jan 6 people.
Cough, cough, Paul Pelosi.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that pretty much does it. I think if we talk anything more about it, I will not be able to drive home because I will go insane.
All right, guys. Thank you once again for tuning in. I know the last couple ones have been very casual compared to our normal content.
It's hard to put like hard discussion with the RNC. Like, it's so easy. Like, all you have to have is like one stat, and then you can debunk it. It's
so we're sorry. We'll be getting back to the harder stuff. after this episode.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. You know, we're gonna do
It's summertime, so I'm sort of like we're not taking any breaks. So like this is kind of the fun time episodes where we have less time to prepare.
That's true.
And we have talked about a lot of stuff already ad nauseum. So and this is the political like Goldilocks zone. Like this is where all the dumb shit is being said and all the people are doing the things. So yep.
Somebody's like harder than Bush Light because I said we're gonna talk about something harder next time. Honey,
yeah, Jordan's got cold, so he's been dipping into them.
I've been self-medicating for a minute.
Yeah, the Dr. McCullicuddy's like it's a doctor kind of.
It says a doctor right there. Clearly, it's science. Okay.
That's right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you made it this long, we really appreciate you, and I think you're probably a true fan of us. So we would really appreciate any sort of donations or becoming a member on our Patreon or YouTube memberships, or even if you just want a sticker, some more of Jordan's, sunglasses, T-shirt, hat,
merch, offthewagon.com. You can get all of the Let Them Eat Toast merch there. You can get everything. Again, we just appreciate you guys sitting here and listening to us and allowing us to save our wives from dealing with this bullshit when we're sitting at the bar together.
Thank you.
Yeah, they definitely do.
So
anyway, guys, we will hit you up next week with another episode, and we appreciate you tuning in.
That's right. Have a good day.